The map of South Asia is witnessing a fundamental shift, and for the first time in decades, the flow of the Chenab River is at the center of a geopolitical storm. The headline is simple, but the implications are devastating. India has initiated the massive Sawalkot Hydroelectric Project, and the message to Islamabad is clear. The days of unreciprocated generosity are over. Pakistan is raising alarms about a water crisis, but this time, New Delhi is simply looking at the blueprints. Let us analyze what this truly means for the region. To understand the gravity of this situation, you have to look beyond the headlines of a simple dam construction. This is not just about electricity, this is about leverage. For over 60 years, the Indus Water Treaty of 1960 has governed the water sharing between India and Pakistan. It was often cited by the World Bank as a model of cooperation between two hostile neighbors. But the reality of geopolitics is that treaties only hold as long as they serve the national interest. The source material confirms that the state-owned NHPC has invited bids for the construction of the Sawalkot Hydroelectric Project in the Ramban district of Jammu and Kashmir. We are talking about an estimated cost of over 5,000 crore rupees and a power generation capacity of nearly 1900 megawatts. This is not a small check dam. This is a mega project. Now, why is this triggering panic in Pakistan? If you look at the geography of the region, the Chenab River is a lifeline. It rises in the upper Himalayas in the Lahaul and Spiti district of Himachal Pradesh, flows through the Jammu region, and then enters the plains of Pakistan. Under the Indus Water Treaty, the waters of the three western rivers, the Indus, the Jhelum, and the Chenab, were largely allocated to Pakistan. However, and this is the crucial part that often gets ignored, the treaty allows India to use these waters for domestic use, non-consumptive use, and most importantly, for hydroelectric power generation through run-of-the-river projects. For decades, Pakistan has used a strategy of obstructionism. Every time India planned a project on the western rivers, be it Baglihar or Kishan Ganga, Pakistan would rush to the World Bank, citing technical violations, trying to delay or halt India's infrastructure development. They used the treaty not just as a water-sharing mechanism, but as a tool to stifle development in Jammu and Kashmir. But the data now suggests a change in India's posture. The source reports that following terror attacks, specifically referencing the incident in Pahalgam, the Indian government has effectively put the treaty proceedings on hold. The logic is brutal but simple. You cannot export terror and expect water to flow uninterrupted. Let us look at the map again, specifically at the Ramban district where this project is slated to come up. By building significant storage and generation capabilities upstream, India gains the ability to regulate the flow. While run-of-the-river projects do not permanently stop water, they provide control over the timing of the release. In the world of strategic resources, timing is everything. A delay in water release during the critical sowing season in Pakistan's Punjab province can have economic consequences far greater than any military skirmish. This is what we call non-kinetic warfare, the ability to impose costs on an adversary without firing a single bullet. The rhetoric coming from the Indian government matches this aggressive infrastructure push. The source quotes Union Water Power Minister C.R. Patil stating quite explicitly that work has begun to divert water from the Indus Basin and that under no circumstances will the Indus River water be given to Pakistan if it can be retained for use in Haryana, Punjab, Rajasthan and Delhi. This is a significant departure from the past. Previously, India allowed a significant amount of its permitted share to flow into Pakistan simply because we lacked the infrastructure to utilize it. We were letting water flow simply because we had not built the dams to catch it. The Sawalkot project changes that equation. It signals that India is now moving to maximize its rights under the treaty to the absolute limit. There is also a deep hypocrisy that needs to be exposed here. Pakistan has long accused India of water terrorism, a term they use to describe any Indian construction on the western rivers. Yet, simultaneously, reports indicate that the Taliban in Afghanistan is planning to build a dam on the Crore River, which would choke the water flow into Pakistan from the west. Islamabad is now facing a two-front water war. On the east, an assertive India is finally building the infrastructure it has the legal right to build, and on the west, their former allies in Kabul are threatening their water security. It is a classic case of strategic encirclement, driven not by armies but by engineering. Now, let us shift focus to the strategic lesson for India. What is the national interest here? It is threefold. First, it is about energy security. Jammu and Kashmir has massive hydroelectric potential that has remained untapped for decades due to political hesitation and Pakistani objections. A 1900 megawatt project like Sawalkot will transform the power scenario in the Union territory, reducing dependence on the central grid and boosting the local economy. Economic integration is the ultimate solution to political instability. Second, it is about agricultural security for North India. The mention of diverting water to Punjab and Rajasthan is critical. These states are facing falling groundwater tables. If India can legally utilize the water from the Indus basin that currently flows unutilized into Pakistan, it can recharge the aquifers of its own grain bowl. It is a matter of prioritizing its own citizens over the sentiments of a hostile neighbor. Third, and perhaps most importantly, it creates a new layer of deterrence. In international relations, credibility is the currency of power. If a state threatens consequences for terror but fails to exact a cost, its deterrence fails. By linking the water treaty to the cessation of terror as indicated by the suspension of meetings following the Pahalgam attack, India is establishing a clear link. If the peace is disturbed, the water cooperation cannot continue as business as usual. This is realpolitik. It is not emotional, it is transactional. So, where does this leave the Indus Water Treaty? Is it dead? Not formally, but for all practical purposes, the spirit of the treaty, which relied on mutual goodwill, has evaporated. India is no longer willing to let its development be held hostage by Pakistan's objections. The Sawalkot project is a concrete manifestation of this new policy. It is a signal that India will interpret the treaty in a way that maximizes its own benefit, and if Pakistan dislikes it, they will have to deal with the reality on the ground. The construction of the dam is a fait accompli. Once the concrete is poured, no amount of arbitration in the World Bank can easily reverse it. The lesson here is that geography is destiny, but infrastructure is the tool that harnesses it. A river is just a river until you build a dam. Then it becomes a strategic asset. India has finally decided to treat the Chenab not just as a geographical feature, but as a strategic asset. Before we conclude, here is a quick question for you to test your knowledge on this topic. The Indus Water Treaty divides the rivers into eastern and western rivers. Which of the following is classified as an eastern river fully allocated to India? Option A, the Jhelum. Option B, the Chenab. Option C, the Ravi. Option D, the Indus. Let me know your answer in the comments below. In the end, we must remember that resources are finite and nations will always prioritize their survival and growth. The Sawalkot project is not just about pouring concrete, it is about pouring a new foundation for India's strategic autonomy. In geopolitics, there are no permanent friends, only permanent interests. Thank you for listening.